Myers and Tim Ryan have the call. Have a great season, guys.
Thanks, Kurt. You too, and the same to the pregame show, guys. And here the game ready to roll as the Panthers hit the field. The NFL on Fox, and Charlotte, North Carolina, the scene for NFL kickoff weekend. The Seattle Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers. We welcome you to the NFL on Fox and to the start of a new season. Chris Myers, Tim Ryan, and Jennifer Hale will be along in just a moment. It's a warm, humid day here in the South, but a day full of optimism, especially for these two teams that want to build off of how they finished up last year. The Seahawks were 30 seconds away from the NFC Championship. Already, they're a popular Super Bowl pick across the country. The Panthers, after 2 seasons of starting out with a record of 2-8, have an order from their head coach. Ron Rivera simply said, for today, start strong. And Tim, whether they start or finish, they're going against a Seattle defense that was the best in the league when it came to giving up the fewest points. But that Seahawk defense missing some parts today.
Well, and there should be some concern, no question about it. If you watched them last year, pass rush, especially on the road, was really one of their only weaknesses. Now, they addressed it in free agency. They went out and got Cliff Averill and Michael Bennett, but no Cliff Averill on the field today. He is injured. Their top sacker last year, Chris Clements, not on the field today, injury. Bruce Irvin, the top rookie sacker, out of this game because of suspension. The bottom line is 27 of their 36 sacks from last season will not be participating today. You couple that with no Brandon Browner, and it could be a problem.
All right, so how do the underdog Panthers and Cam Newton take advantage of that?
Well, with protection. Cam Newton, with protection, can get smoking hot in a heartbeat. If you watched in the last 4 or 5 games last year, the light really went on. He was making great decisions, getting the ball out on time. For Cam Newton now, it's really about consistency, stacking positive plays on top of each other. If he can do that, he'll be able to get it done. My question is, does he have a good enough supporting cast around him, impact players, to get after Seattle today?
Oh, we're excited. We're ready to go. We're ready
baby.
to kick it off on NFL weekend. The Panthers and the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, Cam Newton. We know they can run it. We know they can throw it. But which one of these two today will win it? Here are today's DirecTV players to watch. All-time Panthers receiver, 34-year-old Steve Smith, and the corner for Seattle, Richard Sherman, who's been the best at that position over the last couple of seasons. And when they met last year, well, they talk a good game, they play a good game. They were with each other all day, aggravating each other. It's the game within the game, entertaining to watch. This season, get every NFL game every Sunday, included at no extra charge when you switch to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. The NFL has arrived, and the kickoff straight ahead on Fox.
The biggest thing in terms of playing the quarterback position, you just got to be able to weather the storm. A lot of people were saying I was too short to play. My height didn't define my skill set. I'm so grateful to be the Seattle Seahawks starting quarterback. I'm playing for all the other kids that have been told that they can't do something, and that's why I wanted to play quarterback in the National Football League.
What will Russell Wilson do for an encore, overcoming odds? 75th player picked in the draft last year, 3rd round, but took the Seahawks to the playoffs, won a playoff game, but will be observing here as Seattle deferred winning the coin toss. So they're going to kick it off to Carolina as Stephen Hauschka gets ready to start the 2013 NFL season. Seahawks and Panthers is underway. Ted Ginn Jr. watches it bounce off the crossbar. And Cam Newton leads the Carolina offense from its own 20-yard line. 24 years old. Heisman Trophy winner. He's won a national championship, and these are some of the people he'll have around him.
Certainly is going to have to lean on Greg Olsen as tight end versus a lot of the coverage that the Seattle Seahawks put on the table in the variety of zones they throw at you. And then Chris Scott up front will be starting for Amini Silatolu, the 2nd-year player at left guard. Chris Scott's been on 6 teams. He'll have a handful against that Seattle front 7.
Lefty. Set. 180.
Brandon LaFell in motion. The handoff is to D'Angelo Williams, and he picks up a healthy chunk of yardage to the 25-yard line. And Tim, you talked about some of the missing parts in that Seattle defense. Let's see who is starting up front. O'Brien Schofield in the spot that would be Averill or Clements.
Yeah, that's interesting to see how he's going to do. Just signed here in training camp. Malcolm Smith is going to get the start here at weak side linebacker. He earned that in training camp. And then, of course, Walter Thurman out there starting at right cornerback as they're without their big stud out there, Brandon Browner.
2nd down 5. Cam Newton to throw, and does. Completes on the sideline, fighting hard to get to the 30 for a 1st down. Is Greg Olsen. A high of 80 today. By the late afternoon, it'll be maybe 88, 89 degrees, and I was down on the field earlier. That field, one of the hottest places, like a sauna in terms of the humidity. So muggy, something that the Seahawks will have to contend with.
No question. I know all the folks from the Northwest will say it was hot in Seattle this year, and it was a hot summer. It was nothing like it is on this field here today.
On 1st down, Cam Newton, quick throw, caught, spinning away is Steve Smith at the 37-yard line. Smith has now caught a pass in 92 consecutive games.
He is a big play waiting to happen. Doesn't have a lot of touchdowns over the last couple of seasons, but at 34 years old, Chris, it's amazing how he's still getting it done. I like what Cam Newton's doing right now. He's just being patient. It's really what he did the last 4 or 5 games last year, just checking out the defense, looking at the zones, and throwing it underneath for the easy completion.
On 2nd and 4, 2 tight ends in on the pitch to D'Angelo Williams. Across the 41-yard line near another 1st down. Do you think we'll see much of the read option from Cam Newton?
I think we're going to see more of it from Russell Wilson than we're going to see from Cam Newton. That's one thing that they really throttled back last year in that 4-game win streak. Ron Rivera, the head coach, said he did his own study, and he said we had to pare it back, and they did to the tune of about 35%, 40%, and took some of that decision-making off the table of Cam Newton and just let him be a quarterback, Chris, and he thrived.
1st down from the 42. D'Angelo Williams again, finding room, breaking tackles, stopped short of the 49-yard line. D'Angelo Williams came in with a career average of 5 yards a game. Now with Jonathan Stewart injured, he's finding running room.
He absolutely is, and here's a power. Nice little kick out there by Gary Williams. Mike Tolbert, a couple of broken tackles. Tell you, a lot of question marks on this offensive line, Chris, coming into this game today, if they could actually move that Seattle front off the line of scrimmage. Very good start for them so far.
In this game last year, center Ryan Khalil, the 3-time Pro Bowler, was injured, so he's back now. On 2nd down 4, this is Tolbert, and it'll bring up 3rd down. He couldn't get to the 49-yard line either. Defensive front with Tony McDaniel and Brandon Mebane, and then of course from the linebacker spot Malcolm Smith. But a lot of beef up front in the middle.
And they're got a lot of speed behind him, and it's a perfect complement to one another. I am so fired up for that guy right there, Ryan Khalil. I'm telling you, he got hurt in this game last year against Seattle. I think he's the best in pro football, and watching him against Brandon Mebane today and some of those inside players is going to be fun to watch.
3 wide receivers on 3rd down and 4.
Love this, too. We saw none of that little bunch set last year.
Cam Newton, an early test, and the throw is incomplete. There's a flag down. Brandon LaFell was the target. Cam Chancellor was working with him. Walter Thurman was over there as well.
Pass interference, defense, number 28. Ball was placed at the spot of the foul. 1st down.
And Thurman gets his hand on the ball, but you can't run over the guy's back to do it. You can try to make a play, but you cannot run through a guy. There was certainly contact. That was a good call from the line judge. But I love that little bunch set they're doing. We didn't see any of that last year. It's an absolute zone killer. So far, so good.
Thurman playing for Brandon Browner, as we mentioned, who was the starter before he was injured, and Browner arrived on the scene. 1st down from inside midfield. The pass incomplete for Greg Olsen. He was open.
Mike Shula's doing a nice job of calling plays right now. Seattle defensively, Chris, they're on their heels. I just looked down at the field and watched KJ Wright, the linebacker for the Seahawks, trying to communicate with the rest of his players. There was a busted coverage there. Greg Olsen was wide open, just couldn't hold on to the football.
Pete Carroll trying to get that defense in a situation because Cam Newton has not had a 3rd and long yet, and that's something that when they met last year, created problems. Here we have a stoppage of play. The officials are resetting the clock.
Reset the play clock to 25 seconds. Thank you.
Jeff Triplett, our referee today. And again, this Seahawk defense allowed just 15 points a game on average last year. That's the most important defensive stat, is the points allowed, and they were the best in the league. And now this is the 8th play of the drive. The opening drive for Cam Newton and the Panthers. Cam Newton is going to run. He falls down short of the 41-yard line and short of the first down.
Talking to Red Bryant and some of the defensive linemen for Seattle, they said it was absolutely important to keep Cam Newton in the pocket and not rush by him. Well, 2 or 3 of them that time rushed by him. He saw the little crease up inside and got themselves to a 3rd and short. This is where Cam Newton wanted to be, Chris. 3rd and manageable all day.
Cam Newton was the leading rusher for the Panthers last year. And now, after picking up 8, it's 3rd and 2.
It looks like they're using Bobby Wagner, at least on that last play, the middle linebacker, to try to spy him.
Pass is almost intercepted. He was looking for Steve Smith, but Richard Sherman, who in the last 2 years has more interceptions than anybody in the NFL at that position, nearly had another one.
8 of them last year. Sherman is kicking himself. This ball comes out late. Richard's able to make a break on it, and it hits him right in the hands, and he can't hold on to it.
Throwing on 3rd and 2.
Especially with the run success they had early here on this first drive. That's a good question.
Brad Nortman lines up to punt, and Golden Tate with Leon Washington elsewhere. It's a new punt and kickoff return situation for the Seahawks. Tate standing inside the 10-yard line. Lets it go, and Nortman sticks it, and the Panthers are on it. A big special teams play to put the Seahawks in a hole after an opening drive that stalls. Russell Wilson and the Seahawk offense straight ahead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
After a 36-yard punt, Seahawks 1st and 10 from their own 5-yard line. The Panthers held the ball for nearly 5 minutes. Russell Wilson to Marshawn Lynch. A read option. Will we see that with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks? Lynch, of course, 11 touchdowns last year, age 27, coming off his best season.
Absolutely, and Golden Tate, expect a big year out of him. Led this team in receptions the last 7 games. Last year, up front with the offensive line, Paul McQuiston in there starting at left guard. We're going to see a lot of James Carpenter today as well, the former first-round pick.
Golden Tate, bottom of your screen on 2nd down 5. Now he's in motion. Sidney Rice on that side with him. Some pointing going on. There's a flag in the air. Russell Wilson went to the ground, and so did Tate after he caught the football.
Well, it's a rookie mistake. Luke Wilson just jumped the gun. That's a false start offensively for the rookie tight end out of Rice. Just got too excited. Certainly understandable in this atmosphere.
Illegal shift. Offense. 2 men moving and not resetting. Half the distance. Repeat, 2nd down.
Wilson, the speed guy, we're going to watch him later. He's a guy who can get downfield. Well, let's see where they got mixed up.
And there he is right there. You got a guy in motion, Golden Tate, and then there he just jumps the gun, Luke Wilson. And that's a killer now, especially when you got your back against the wall in your own territory.
2nd down 10 from the 5. Russell Wilson from his own end zone. He's in trouble and nearly intercepted. Thomas Davis had a shot at the errant throw. Star Latualele put the heat on.
And Russell Wilson here right in his end zone. It almost looks like he's just going to take the safety at that point, like he's going to go down, and then he realizes, wait a minute, I got an opportunity to get rid of it. He's really lucky. He got lucky there. He didn't get the safety, but he didn't throw an interception. That was close.
On 3rd and 10, the Panthers will have some hometown help. Russell Wilson goes underneath to Marshawn Lynch. 4th down.
Really well played by Thomas Davis, the outside linebacker, who does not get out leverage, forces Lynch back inside, and then here's Thomas Davis here. Watch him get outside, force it back inside, and then here's what you love in the screen game. Defensive lineman in pursuit. They get a body rocking shot there on Lynch and force a 4th down.
John Ryan standing in the back of his own end zone. Better be careful. Not only back there, Ted Ginn to return for the Panthers. Ginn all the way inside the 25 of Carolina. And gets back up to across the 35-yard line. Panthers have not had a regular season punt return for a touchdown in 10 years. They're hopeful that this guy can deliver. Good special teams coverage from the Seahawks in a scoreless game. The Panthers are on offense.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go.
Walter Thurman starting in the place of Brandon Browner, out with a hamstring injury. Remember, he beat out Antoine Winfield, forced him into retirement.
Kansas.
First down from the 35-yard line for Cam Newton on their second possession. They're running with Williams. Stopped short just to the 40. That 69-yard punt by John Ryan pushed the Panthers back, but they have moved the ball well running the football.
That's why you never really measure anything in terms of success in the preseason. And D'Angelo Williams was terrible in the preseason in his yards per carry. Not a bunch of opportunities, but the franchise leader here today having a good start, over 5 yards a pop.
And on a warm, muggy day, the Seahawks defense, if they're on the field for another long drive, it could play into their performance. Second down 6 from the 39. Newton goes down. Credit the sack. O'Brien Schofield, the Cardinal cast-off.
Pete Carroll has told us a bunch of times that he wanted this guy coming out of Wisconsin. And Arizona ended up getting him. That's a deep drop for Cam Newton. And Arizona ended up getting him. And then they were, obviously, after a few years, let him go. Pete Carroll was happy to get him here this summer. Did a great job of just keeping his motor running hot. Ran the corner around Jordan Gross, a good pass protector, but just kept it going. It was a big-time sack because there was a lot of room for Cam Newton to run if he wasn't able to get him.
Hey, right.
On 3rd and 12 from the 33-yard line. 3 receivers on the left side for Newton. He's going that way to Greg Olsen underneath. He'll be short of the first down. And Walter Thurman was there to make sure he didn't get more. Brad Nordman on to punt as the Seattle defense stalls this Carolina drive.
I know they got a punt, but I like what Carolina's doing so far offensively. They're doing a nice job of mixing and matching the run game to both sides of the line of scrimmage. And the Cam Newton we saw last year in the last 4 games, and Ron Rivera, the head coach, talked about him. He is way more patient at taking what the defense is giving him.
Nordman, Golden Tate back inside his own 10. This time he's going to take it. Golden Tate all the way up near the 25-yard line before the long snapper Jansen brought him down. A 20-yard return after a 45-yard punt.
That's risky inside your own 5-yard line.
But he sets up the Seattle offense rather well.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Rockstar Games Grand Theft Auto 5, coming September 17th, rated M for mature.
With Tim Ryan, Jennifer Hale on the field, Chris Myers, I'm glad you're watching the NFL on Fox from Charlotte. Second possession for Russell Wilson of the Seahawks. Scoreless here from his own 25-yard line. He fakes to Marshawn Lynch. Wilson throws to Marshawn Lynch, who can't hold on. Let's get a game break and head to Joel Platt, see what's going on around the league. Joel?
That's right, guys. We head to Detroit, where on his first touch of the season, Adrian Peterson trots 78 yards for the touchdown. Peterson trying to get to that unattainable 2,500. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Joel. What an amazing story as his comeback continues. Can he do it? We'll be watching all season long. Second down 10 here. Russell Wilson from the pocket. He's looking around and running around. High and incomplete. Golden Tate the target. It's 3rd and 10. Russell Wilson told you that scramble drill was something they wanted to work at and become really proficient.
Yeah, he also said that he and Marshawn Lynch worked a lot in the underneath passing game. Look at Paul McQuiston right there, the left guard. Thought he was going to get a hold on Star Lutulele and just pulled off. Took his hands off. Russell Wilson is running for his life back there, not able to find any open receivers, Chris, on his first read.
3rd down and 10. Deep drop for the safety, Godfrey. Pass is thrown early. Tate never saw it. And Wilson gets knocked to the ground by Greg Hardy.
One of the best stories in pro football is Thomas Davis, the linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. I want you to watch him right here and watch what he does to Paul McQuiston in that inside pressure. I mean, Russell Wilson at 5'11", having to throw from in the pocket with pressure in his face, almost impossible. Job well done by Thomas Davis.
Russell Wilson is 1 out of 5 so far. This is the place he got the first road win of his NFL career last year. Ted Ginn Jr. back to receive Ryan's punt. A high hanger, fair catch called for at the last moment, right at the 20-yard line. A 55-yard punt. Carolina on offense. Panther defense has forced a pair of 3-and-outs for Seattle's offense.
Chris, look, they were top 10 quietly last year in defense, and they got better. I mean, a first-round draft pick is D lineman Star Lutulele, second-rounder in K'Wan Short up front, so they're better there. Getting John Beeson back at linebacker, I think is going to be a big help for him.
180.
From the 20-yard line, Cam Newton on first down throws and caught at the 35 by Steve Smith. And Richard Sherman was over there. So far, they're doing more playing than talking. There goes Steve Smith talking.
It's a big-time throw. He's going to run the corner route, and the outside linebacker does not get enough width. The rookie, Benson Mayoya. You got to get width on that, get in the throwing lane. That's a terrific throw from Cam Newton.
Gain of 15. They hurry to the line on first down. Cam Newton hands off to Mike Tolbert. Tolbert from Coastal Carolina can play fullback, tailback, but with the rookie Kenyon Barner out with a foot injury and Jonathan Stewart, the ankle surgeries, he's going to have to figure in the picture a little more.
And they did not use him enough last year. It's like Gary Williams is down on the field, the right guard.
Gary Williams, the injured player, and will continue in a moment. Gary Williams helped from the field by the trainer and medical staff, so let's take a look at what happened.
Yeah, he's in here at right guard right there, and then watch Tony McDaniel, the defensive lineman, get blocked right into the back of his leg. That's where the injury happened.
Travell Warden in his spot at right guard.
Hey, back. Set 180. What do you?
On second down, D'Angelo Williams is cut down. Travell Warden was a longtime Panther, was with the Bengals for a year, coming back in that position, playing in his 100th NFL game today. And that offensive line, at least early, it had an edge against this suffocating Seahawk defense.
And they were already without Selatolu, their starting left guard. So now with the injury to Gary Williams, they got two backup guards out there. Travell Warden, Chris, was out of football last year. Torn ACL with the Cincinnati Bengals in his knee.
On 3rd and 7, Maxwell is in. He's covering Steve Smith. Top of your screen. Cam Newton fires, and he couldn't hold on. Greg Olsen had it at the 35 and let it go.
I think we're getting a full display of the arm of Cam Newton and the accuracy in terms of this seam route. He just launches this laser right in between two defenders, and Greg Olsen could just never get a firm grip on it as he went down to the ground. Cam Newton, I'm telling you, you go back and look at the last 4 games last year and how he's been throwing the ball so far today. I expect a big, big year out of him.
Nordman to punt again. Golden Tate again inside his own 10. He let one go. He caught one. He's taken this one. And he spins up to the 17-yard line. The defenses are dominating so far in the Carolina Heat, but Russell Wilson takes the field in just a moment. Here in Charlotte, let's get an injury update. Jennifer Hale from the field. Hi, Jennifer.
Well, hi, Chris. I tell you what, a very frustrated Gary Williams just got carted into the Panthers locker room during this break. He could put no weight on that left leg. You could see the pain on his face and the frustration in his body language. He even punched the bed of the cart as he was being taken away. Obviously, Chris, not the way he wanted to start this season.
An unfortunate incident as now the Seahawk offense is just trying to get a first down. 1st and 10 from their own 17-yard line. Lynch is the back. Quick pass to Golden Tate. And he fights for some yardage before Josh Thomas brings him down. He's got a game break with Joel Klatt.
And we go to New Orleans, where Matt Ryan is going to be rolling to his right, looking, and he finds the veteran, Tony Gonzalez, for the touchdown. It is now 10-0 in that ball game, all Atlanta.
Thanks, Joel. A divisional battle in the NFC South as Sean Payton returns for the Saints. By the way, the Buccaneers are trailing the Jets 2-0 in the opening quarter, also in the division of the Panthers.
Tell you, a lot of people liking these Panthers in this division, Chris, because of their defense.
Marshawn Lynch carries on 2nd and 4.
Talked to a lot of folks around the NFL this offseason, and everyone loves Atlanta and their offense and Drew Brees and all of that offensive firepower. But it's the defense of the Carolina Panthers that are the best in the division, without question. And they're playing well today. Their front seven is really so far controlling Seattle at the line of scrimmage.
Seahawks get their first down of the game at the 28-yard line. Wilson again to Lynch. And some tough yards there before Charles Godfrey had to come up from the safety position.
Big challenge on those defensive tackles. These young guys inside here with Marshawn Lynch. Look at that vision and cutting back up inside. Was supposed to press it outside, sees the crease inside. You just love the way Marshawn Lynch runs with those split legs and stability and balance and power. He is the king of those 5 to 7 yard grinders.
Robert Turbin in at running back from the 35-yard line.
Comes the pressure.
Turbin the carry just across the 35. It'll be a 3rd down for the Seahawks.
And pressure has been the whole story for Russell Wilson. Lucky he didn't take a safety there or throw an interception. Back in his own end zone, guys are all over him. I mean, he's got nowhere to throw the football, so good pressure and really good coverage down the field. There's not open receivers for Russell Wilson. They've gone to the quick hitters, the little quick hitch routes, screen game. May have to stick to more of that.
Turbin stays in, 3 wide receivers on 3rd and 3. Wilson's pass on target. Doug Baldwin for the first down. Digging out of the hole, and now the Seahawks have flipped the field position game, and that's been part of the challenge for Wilson so far, along with that Panthers defense. Pete Carroll, by the way, a week from today, turns 62 years old and has the energy of a 19-year-old.
Burns about 5,000 calories a day just chewing that bubble gum.
There's nowhere to go for Marshawn Lynch. K'Wan Short, the rookie from Purdue, clogging the middle, and that will bring an end to the first quarter. The defense is in control. The Seahawks and the Panthers in the heat of the South are scoreless after 1 on the NFL on Fox. Fans, players, coaches waited a long time for this. The NFL regular season as we begin the second quarter. And Marshawn Lynch carries. John Beeson bringing him down. Nobody ran it more in the NFL last year than the Seattle Seahawks.
I told you how good it was to get John Lynch back. This play's got John Beeson has got an opportunity to get out to the edge with Lynch, but John Beeson just does a great job of flowing down the line of scrimmage and holds it to a minimum gain.
Yeah, John Lynch calling the game on Fox in New York, where the Buccaneers have just gone in front of the Jets. On third down, Russell Wilson out of the pocket, throws and completes to Sidney Rice for a first down. And nobody threw more passes out of the pocket last year in the NFL than Russell Wilson, 25% of the time.
And he never panics, and he knows the grid, so he knows where Sidney Rice is going to post up right here in between these defenders in the soft spot of the zone. And that's really the first good completion where they've driven it down the field a little bit. They've really gone to the quick game.
And Rice, of course, coming off that knee surgery where he went to Switzerland after a gain of 14. Two tight ends in. Wilson throws high, but it's hauled in just across the 35 by the fullback Derek Coleman, second-year player, UCLA, who forced Michael Robinson out of the Seahawk roster. And Coleman, a unique story. He is legally deaf. Said at the age of 3, the hearing just went. He feels fine, so he reads lips, works with hand signals, and is a player that Pete Carroll says can not only block at fullback, but do some things at tailback as well.
I don't know if either Derek Coleman or the other Spencer Ware are certainly better than Michael Robinson, but it's 2 for 1, Chris. They're a lot cheaper, and I don't think Michael Robinson was very healthy.
On a second down run to Marshawn Lynch. And Carolina defense with Star Latulippe, the rookie from Utah State, helping to clog up the middle. Greg Hardy also. Those two, when you think about the defensive ends and the young guys you talked about in the middle, it really does bring it up a notch for this Panther defense.
And they desperately needed inside players at the defensive tackle position, and this Star Latulippe is a sideline-to-sideline freak in terms of getting after it and running to the ball at 315 pounds.
Third and 3 for Russell Wilson. He floats one. It's hauled in. That's Doug Baldwin. Inside the 15 of Carolina. And the Seahawks, their most impressive drive of the day.
Doug Baldwin coming out of the slot. And they just look like Captain Munnerlyn just got picked off by his own player, Josh Thomas. Now, there was no contact, but the concept of the route, certainly in that man coverage, was able to free up Doug Baldwin. Nice throw by Russell Wilson.
A 25-yard pickup. Their deepest penetration so far today. Looked like Russell Wilson wasn't ready for the snap, but he gives it to Lynch before Latulippe brings him down. And if you're a Seahawk fan or one that didn't pay attention, wondering about Percy Harvin, that situation maybe midweek on the injury list.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's still trying to point out what he wants to do. Nobody on the same page in terms of getting the snap at the right time. And big number 98, I told you that guy. Now, he wouldn't block that time. There was a breakdown, but he is a sideline-to-sideline runner. He is a terrific player.
Sidney Rice, bottom of your screen. Second and 13 from the 14-yard line of Carolina. Wilson. There's a flag down. End zone throw for Sidney Rice is incomplete.
They're going to get a hold, I believe, outside here on the right side of the line.
10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
That'll back the Seahawks up even more after they got inside the 12-yard line. Negative yardage on that snap and run, and now a penalty.
What you love about what Carolina is able to do right now is they're getting pressure with 4. They're not having to send the blitz, which means they got 7 in coverage. They are forcing Seattle to keep an extra guy or 2 in to protect. You got 7 on 4 in terms of coverage defensively. You're going to win most of the time if you can heat up the quarterback.
Steven Wilson checks it at wide receiver. The flip toward the 20-yard line is Baldwin. Run out of bounds around the 18. And that will bring up 3rd down. They need to get down inside the 1-yard line for a first down. And this has been his most comfortable drive.
Well, what they've done, other than the Sidney Rice play where he extended it outside the pocket, is they've just gone to the quick game, Chris, in terms of the passing game. That's where he's found his success.
3rd and 17. Robert Turbin splits to the top of your screen as a receiver. He has good hands. Wilson completes to the tight end, Zach Miller, who's knocked backward. And that will bring up 4th down. Steven Hauska, who played some college football at NC State, actually came to the school here in the Carolinas as a soccer player. Was 8 of 9 in the preseason, had a 61-yarder. That was his only miss that bounced off the crossbar.
How about this number? Last year, he did not miss 1 field goal under 49 yards.
And this one within that range, a 22-yard try. John Ryan, the holder. Panthers break the scoreless tie here in the 2nd quarter. So Seattle with a 3-0 advantage.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the 2013 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost, by the Samsung Galaxy S4, the next big thing is here, and by KFC, the official sponsor of Couchgating. KFC plus football equals Couchgating.
Luke Kuechly, who led the NFL in tackles last year as a rookie, showing some leadership skills with that Panther defense. They got pushed around for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, but held Seattle to a field goal.
And to a man, this defense, you asked the other players about Luke Kuechly. They said he came in last year shy, quiet, didn't say anything. Defensive Rookie of the Year, as you said. He is now a full-blown vocal leader for this football team.
It'll go through the end zone as Ted Ginn watches the ball sail through, and the Panthers and Cam Newton take over at the 20-yard line, trailing by 3. Russell Wilson was 7 out of 7 on that last drive to get the Seahawks on the board.
What did he say in that soundbite we played at the start? You got to weather the storm, especially early. So far, Russell Wilson has weathered the storm.
Cam Newton leading the Panthers from the 20-yard line. Greg Olsen in motion. D'Angelo Williams, the carry. Cuts back and is knocked down after a gain of about 2.5. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers here in the 2nd quarter. We walked into our booth in Charlotte. How about the Panthers going toe-to-toe, the underdog Panthers, with the playoff Seahawks from last year?
So far, so good. I mean, defensively, to me, the defensive line has really controlled this game so far for Carolina. Now, offensively, and they've done a good job, you've got to seize every opportunity you get and make plays when given the opportunity. Greg Olsen with 2 big drops. He's got to be able to make those catches for his quarterback.
On 2nd down, 8. Newton steps up and fires. Open. It's Greg Olsen. This time he holds on near the 48-yard line.
It's a really nice job by Byron Bell right there, who's able to just push Red Bryant by the quarterback, which frees it up for Greg Olsen, finds a little soft spot in the zone. Cam Newton steps up and throws the strike, and that's what I'm talking about if you're Greg Olsen. Great opportunity, make the play. They're close to midfield.
A 26-yard pickup.
The whole key, though, was Byron Bell, because Red Bryant had him beat with the pass rush. He was able to recover and push him by the quarterback.
Olsen goes to the top of your screen, but they throw it the other way to D'Angelo Williams, who is knocked down inside the 41-yard line near another Carolina first down. And he did get the first down, move the chains.
Watch Ryan Khalil, the center, getting out in front of D'Angelo Williams. And none of the defensive linemen see it. You get a nice block there from Travell Wharton. Ryan Khalil trying his best. But D'Angelo Williams in the open field is pretty darn good. And people forgot about him last year. Last time he was on the field against the Saints, 210 yards rushing, week 17. He's found his groove.
Newton goes back to Williams, who makes a nice catch. Ball comes out and goes out of bounds, and they're going to lose yardage on that. Byron Maxwell, backup defensive backup corner, I should say, knocked the ball loose.
Well, you remember last year as this game was going on, these two teams was kind of in the same area. D'Angelo Williams out in space, and Brandon Browner, the corner, came up and knocked it out. Seattle recovered it and really changed the momentum of the football game. D'Angelo Williams lucky as Maxwell literally punched that out with his right hand that it went out of bounds.
It was a game that the Panthers led at the half, but in the second half, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks took the lead and then held on defensively for their first road win of last year.
So far that theme's held true. Not a lot of pass rush for Seattle. They're going to have to start blitzing.
And Newton complete again. Diving at the 36-yard line is Greg Olsen. Let's check in for another game break with Joel Klatt.
The reigning MVP doing work again. Adrian Peterson's second touchdown of this game. He had a 78-yard score on his first touch. 14-6 Minnesota.
Tim, does he get to 2,500 yards and lead the Vikings back to the playoffs?
If they feed him the rock like they did in the last 10 games last year, he'll get enough touches to get that accomplished. You bet.
5-4, 5-4.
Remember last year they started him slow coming off that knee injury.
Third down and 6. Cam Newton is going to run it. A designed run for a first down. Sliding at the 25-yard line.
This is a called run, and he is going to read Tony McDaniel, who takes an inside rush. Watch as Cam Newton reads it, put his foot in the ground, take off. Mayoya misses the tackle. He is such a fantastic runner because he's so big, Chris. Good decision on where to take the ball, but Cam Newton is down in weight. He is absolutely chiseled, though. It's still 247 pounds, every bit of 6'5".
Their leading rusher last year. First down, D'Angelo Williams. Inside the 20, inside the 15. At age 30, he's running young.
And I think this heat is starting to have an effect. Watch Red Bryant right there. Really can't get off the block, and then he just kind of turns and looks. Not a lot of depth up front here with Seattle defensive line because of their injuries.
And Jeff Myers has gone in at right guard instead of Travell Wharton, who went in for Gary Williams, who had the injury and is questionable. A 12-yard pickup.
I'll tell you, the closer they get down to the goal line, the more of a threat Cam Newton, Chris, becomes with his legs.
This time it's Williams. And a swarm of Seahawks were there. Bobby Wagner, who was second in the NFL in tackles behind Luke Kuechly last year, led the charge.
This offense, I know they talk, it's the same philosophy as when Chudzinski was here last year. Now with Mike Shula taking over, they say a lot of the concepts are the same. I think Ron Rivera, the head coach there, and the way he pared it down last year, it looks different to me. It is a more patient, take what the defense gives you offense.
A more traditional offense. Right. Greg Olsen, bottom of your screen. Mike Tolbert, the running back. Rich Brockle up at the top of your screen. For Olsen. And he can't hold on. Seahawks were sorting out where everybody was.
You might want this ball location down inside a little more if you're Cam Newton, because the receiver's open enough. It's a pretty good throw, but because it was high, watch Maxwell get his right hand in there and pop it out.
3rd and 7 from the 11-yard line of the Seahawks. Seattle with a 3-0 lead, under 4 minutes to play in the second quarter.
Hey, rookie 5-4.
Cam Newton for Steve Smith. He breaks a tackle. It's good enough for a 1st and goal.
They only rush 3, drop 8. Cam Newton sees Steve Smith underneath, throws the ball. Steve Smith still terrific at running after the catch. Watch him. He's just going to take it right to the outside. Maxwell was trying to push him to the sideline. Steve Smith picks up the first down.
He's only 5'9", his 3rd catch. And now he splits out to the right. Top of your screen for Newton on 1st and goal.
People say he found the fountain of youth. Chris, he never lost it.
Cam Newton has it. Got him. End zone throw. Touchdown Panthers. Steve Smith.
What a great play call and good recognition. A little crossing route in front of the goal line, but great recognition by Cam Newton. He saw all the defenders go with Greg Olsen to the corner route. That opened up a nice little window right across the goal line for Steve Smith for the touchdown. Nice drive.
A drive of 80 yards, and Graham Gano to add the extra point. And does. Nearly 6.5 minutes, and it's capped off by the veteran Steve Smith dancing in the end zone. Panthers lead 7-3. Cam Newton was 6 out of 7 throwing in that drive for 52 yards, capped off by the touchdown.
And a big part of that drive was Greg Olsen. Watch him take the corner route here and watch 2.5 defenders right there go with him. And you see KJ right now looking back and going, oh no, I just opened up that window for Steve Smith. That is a really, really good play call by Mike Shula.
And of course Cam got him down there with some big plays to Greg Olsen. The kick for Jermaine Kearse, who watches it go out of the end zone. Seahawks take over on offense at the 20-yard line, but now Russell Wilson trailing 7-3. Quarterback coach Ken Dorsey with Cam Newton talked to him before the game, and he was saying, we know Cam's a terrific athlete, but he really prepares and studies hard. People don't really think of him in that vein, but he's evident of that, and or has shown evidence of that. And of course, with Mike Shula creating a different offensive approach this year.
And Cam told us the other day that Ken Dorsey's been his saving grace, really taught him how to watch tape.
And off to Lynch on 1st down, and Marshawn is churning. You know, Marshawn Lynch in the last, if you go back the last 25 games, in 16 of those, he's had 100 yards. He's the workhorse, and he's what makes everything else go.
Chris, he lost 10 pounds going into the 2011 season, and he has been on fire ever since. Nobody has more rushing yards in the last 2 years than Marshawn Lynch. A big part of that, I think, was dropping those 10 LBs.
From the 22-yard line, Russell Wilson rolls out, throws on the run for Sidney Rice, who has a 1st down. That was an exceptional throw, and the ball's spinning here.
I like the play call by Darrell Bevell, a way to neutralize some of the pass rush. Get your quarterback out on the edge. A little bootleg action. Watch Russell Wilson's delivery. Looks like a second baseman. Throws a perfect ball to Sidney Rice.
21-yard gain. The Seahawks hurry to the line. Each team with all 3 of their timeouts. Wilson keeps and slides into Carolina territory. We are going to hit the 2-minute warning. The Panthers have a 7-3 lead, but Pete Carroll's Seahawks are on the move here. It's kickoff weekend.
Russell Wilson, watch him on this little bootleg, and just that throwing motion and delivery. That's all that baseball that he played, and of course played for the Colorado Rockies in their minor league system. You should see him work on that, Chris, in warm-ups as you have. That guy just throws strikes.
Marshawn Lynch carries for a 1st down. Thomas Davis brings him down. All 3 timeouts. Seattle has theirs, as do the Panthers, and they move the chains. Yeah, the minor league career, Russell Wilson played for the Asheville team here in the Carolinas, the Asheville Tourist. Said that baseball, you know, you had to focus on every pitch by pitch, be patient, and it has helped him in football, play by play, snap by snap. Trying to get the Seahawks into the end zone here from the 45 of Carolina.
Think about some second-year quarterbacks, how that game started. They would have panicked.
The pitch, Baldwin Doug Baldwin knocked out of bounds. Looked like Luke Kuechly got there first.
Look at Luke Kuechly. Look at the range. And you talk about a motor fueled with desire. Luke Kuechly has got all of it. Just focus on him as all the action ends up going left and then comes back to the right. Look at him. Get away from James Carpenter. Get on his horse. And then just physical style of tackling. His ability to run and hit is uncanny. He can be one of the best.
Pete Carroll, 7 for a first down. They need about 10 or so to get in field goal range.
Slam it.
See how they play these next few downs. Robert Turbin splits down to the bottom of your screen. Russell Wilson's in trouble and he goes down. Charles Godfrey. Oh my goodness.
Perfect timing to call the blitz.
And there's a flag down.
Pete Carroll, settle down, everybody. I think Giacomini swung at somebody, it looked like.
Maybe a Frank Alexander, who Steve Smith is doing a little talking to.
They really tried to focus on getting the instigator this year. I think that's a big point of emphasis with the referees. You know, it's usually been the retaliator that gets it. They're trying to get the instigator.
They're marking it off against the Panthers, and it's going to put the ball at the 40 and give Seattle a first down, the 40 of Carolina.
No, that's a disaster at this point in the game after a big-time momentum play and pushing him back across the 50 to get a bonehead penalty like that.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 90. 15 yards added to the end of the play, and number 90's actually disqualified himself from the game.
Frank Alexander has been ejected, second-year player from Oklahoma.
Do you see Ron Rivera just tell him, get your butt out of here and go to the locker room? There he is on Giacomini. He's pushing him in the face and then throws a left jab.
Triplett caught in the middle of it.
Looked like an open hand hit him in the face. Look at Steve Smith. Everybody telling him, get out of here, man. Boy, he's got to feel awful.
Seattle with 1:13 to go. Instead of a 13-yard loss on a sack, they pick up 15 on a penalty. Robert Turbin is in at running back.
If they can get some points here in the last minute 13, Frank Alexander may not have a job on Monday.
Russell Wilson on the run, complete short at the 35 to Turbin. But we're going to have a timeout from Seattle. They'll have 2 remaining. Pete Carroll is sweating in the heat and humidity. You see misters going behind the bench. The television event of the season finally here. Monday, September 16th. A legend is reborn from the writers and producers of Star Trek. Don't miss the epic series premiere of Sleepy Hollow. This town is anything but sleepy. Monday, September 16th at 9, 8 Central on Fox. NFL scoring last year was the highest it's been in nearly 5 decades. But here it's been a defensive struggle as the Seahawks trail 7-3 and face a 2nd and 5 from just over the 35-yard line.
And still you got the whole playbook wide open here with 2 timeouts left on the board for Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. Doug Baldwin. All the way down to the 13-yard line. A patient throw from the pocket.
And steering guys with his eyes. He looks at Turbin, his check down running back, and ends up pulling a safety and a linebacker, Luke Kuechly, over there, which opened the big window behind him for Doug Baldwin.
1st and 10 after a 23-yard gain.
Now he's got
Wilson goes down. And a scramble for the football. I don't know if he got it back. That look tells you a lot. Panthers football. Charles Johnson came up with the fumble.
Russell Wilson had Robert Turbin out to the left if he wanted him. He never looked that way, and there's been nobody better going back to last year than Charles Johnson when you get to the quarterback, knocking it out, forcing the fumble. There can't be anybody happier than Frank Alexander right now, who's been ejected out of this game and sent to the locker room.
You bail each other out. Johnson, 12.5 sacks last year. Big money, they call him. And he came up big. That was a first down play for the Seahawks. They were already in field goal range, and now it's Carolina football with 3 timeouts.
Russell Wilson has got to have that internal clock in his head. When it strikes 3 seconds, you got to feel like there's going to be some pressure coming and get the ball out. He had Robert Turbin wide open to the left flat.
He's been harassed all afternoon. And will Carolina play it safe or try to get some more?
I think he played it safe.
Mike Tolbert carries and gets across the 26-yard line. Panthers can let it run or use their timeouts. Visa halftime report coming up. All the scores and highlights of opening day in the National Football League kickoff weekend. In the division of the Panthers, the Buccaneers are leading, and the Falcons and Saints. New Orleans has gone in front of Atlanta. And the Seahawks have some work to do. Of course, their division rival 49ers play later on Fox. Seattle will get the ball to start the second half as they trail at the half 7-3 here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's head to New York at Times Square and Kurt Menefee.
Boogieville, USA.
It starts today, man.
Come on and let the good times roll.
Welcome back to Charlotte. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers. The last 3 times the Seahawks have opened the season on the road, they've lost. They're trailing here, ready to get the football. We talked about the headliners, Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, but defense has been the story.
Absolutely has been the story, and really given Seattle a taste of their own medicine. You know, you look at Marshawn Lynch, 2.7 a carry. Out of Russell Wilson's 15 pass attempts, they have hurried him 7 times. They've hit him 4 times. And then, of course, the huge sack right there, pushing him out of field goal range by at that one, and then Charles Johnson with the forced fumble too. A couple of really big plays. That defense is controlling this game.
Russell Wilson has been under pressure all afternoon, and he'll have a chance to respond to that in just a moment. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Cam Newton, who was relaxed and comfortable and calm when we sat with him on Friday after practice, and of course that chiseled frame. He's played a very conditioned, kind of a controlled game.
I've been really impressed with him, and most importantly, I think it goes back to the theme that we talked about to start the broadcast, is the pass rush by the Seattle Seahawks and all the firepower they're missing because of injury or suspension.
Let's check in down on the field with Jennifer Hale. Jen?
Well, Chris, Coach Ron Rivera tells me he has been impressed and pleased with Cam Newton's steadiness and consistency. It's what they wanted out of him, and it's what they're getting out of him. Meanwhile, Pete Carroll says he is extremely impressed with Cam Newton's command of this offense and the patience. I asked him, are you at all concerned about your strength up front for your defense with the players you're missing? And he said, no, we've dealt with it all preseason. We just have to get in the groove. Just watch the second half.
Thanks, Jen. Russell Wilson started out 1 out of 5, but he's hit on his last 10 passes, completing those. Jermaine Kearse in motion. First down from the 20. Wilson's in trouble, but he unloads. Kearse knocked out at the 26-yard line by Kuechly.
And I was thinking right away, they need to get him out on the bootlegs. They're getting after him. They need to get him out on the bootlegs. Well, Carolina's thinking the same thing. Sean McDermott, the defensive coordinator, probably told his guys at halftime, look, they're going to go to the boot game. They're going to go to the quick pass. Let's play it. Now, they forced the ball out of Russell Wilson's hands quick. There was not the support and coverage behind them, and they're able to pick up 5 or 6 yards.
Sidney Rice in motion to the top of your screen. There's a whistle and a flag. Seahawks.
False start. Number 75 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's on Mike Person. That's their 4th penalty. Carolina has just had 1 so far.
And they use Person as that extra tight end. Here's the numbers right here, and fairly even. Now the big one, obviously, is rush yards for Carolina. I never would have thought D'Angelo Williams would be outrunning Marshawn Lynch. And then the turnover. Turnovers are never good, but when you're in scoring position, they're even worse. That was a big-time play by Charles Johnson.
Backed up from the 21 on 2nd and 9. The throw is batted away. Quentin Michael, who was signed a week ago, knocked it away from Sidney Rice. And he's playing because Mike Mitchell is out with a calf injury.
And they're playing what they expect, the short passing game. Quentin Michael started deep, gave Russell Wilson the look that we're going to have 2 deep safeties. And then he basically just crept up and robbed that route, knowing they were just going to turn around and run a stop route with Sidney Rice. Good scheme, better execution.
Now 3rd and 9. Wilson has time on the run, floats one, and it's caught by Rice. He snared it out of the air. There's a flag down back at the 15-yard line. The 21-yard gain, but let's wait. Hold everything.
Yeah, hold everything is right. Play. Holding. Number 76 of the offense. That penalty is declined. Holding. Number 67 of the offense. That penalty is accepted.
You said it. Hold everything. Everybody's
Why
holding.
pick up McQuiston instead of Okung? Bad news for the Seahawks.
And it's both on the left side. Okung and McQuiston at left guard.
You know, Quentin Michael, you talked about the veteran safety who played for the Rams the last couple of seasons, and Ron Rivera said he's faced Seattle twice a year the last couple of years, and we're going to check his brain on some of the things they do, and he's been a help to this Carolina defense. Pass underneath. Running with it is Golden Tate. Getting up near the 28-yard line before Kuechly brings him down, and he got a lot out of a little, but it's going to be 4th down.
I'll tell you, not being able to run the ball with Marshawn Lynch has put them really up against it in the long down and distance situations. And Carolina's just going to play off coverage, let him complete them underneath, and rally up and make the tackle before they get to the first down sticks.
Russell Wilson had a string of 11 passes completed in a row, snapped in that drive.
I have not seen a team defensively be able to hem up Russell Wilson in the pocket like Carolina's been able to do today.
John Ryan booms it for Ted Ginn Jr., waving everybody off. It drops at the 31. And a scramble for the ball.
That hit a Carolina player.
And the Seahawks were
always like this,
all over it. There's a flag down at the 45-yard line. We've already had one player thrown out of the game.
Yeah, and I think that might be on a Seattle player trying to rip a player off the pile by his leg.
Frank Alexander ejected in the first half. The Panthers defensive lineman, if you missed that.
It's like Maragos came up with the ball, and the way that it hit, it looked like it bounced right into a Carolina player, which of course makes it a live ball.
Take a closer look at where that ball hit and who it may have bounced off of. We'll have a better idea.
The punt was touched by the receivers and recovered by Seattle. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 50 of Seattle, taunting. 15 yards, first down, Seattle.
KJ Wright called for the recovery or for the penalty after Maragos came up with the football. So after all that, the Seahawks have a first down near midfield.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Miller Lite, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By State Farm, it pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV.
Jeff Triplett reviewed the play. And let's see what he has to say.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The punt was touched by number 22 of Carolina.
Josh Thomas, and then Seattle recovers with Maragos.
I want you to watch Ted Ginn right there. He's yelling, he's screaming, poison, poison, get away. Josh Thomas does not, as he's trying to still block Byron Maxwell. He falls on the ground. The ball hits him in the leg. As soon as it does, it becomes live. And Maragos comes up with it. That's a big play. That's a big turnover.
Special teams takeaway for Seattle, and from midfield, Marshawn Lynch on first down picks up 4. On first down, the Seahawks run 64% of the time. That's the highest in the NFL.
And the problem is, last year for defenses, they all knew it was coming. They still couldn't stop it. That's not been the case today with this Carolina group. They have been impressive. Look at that number for Marshawn Lynch, 2.8 a carry.
Seattle traveling into the Eastern time zone, so a kickoff at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Pete Carroll moved the practices in training camp to 10 a.m. Pass incomplete for Baldwin, waved off by the official. That's an incomplete pass. So he was trying to keep the Seahawks on that time clock because they just, even with Pete Carroll and the success they've had since he's been here, winning in the Eastern time zone when it's a 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific kick has been a problem. Look at the record.
And it's all about the 10 a.m. kick back on the West Coast.
Even in a Central time.
That's right. That's right. And as you said, they tried practicing at 10 o'clock throughout training camp to get their bodies right. Hard to simulate this heat. Hard to simulate this activity here in Carolina on their body clocks.
Third down after they caught a break on the fumble. Wilson is going to have to run it, and he stopped short of the first down. Thomas Davis wouldn't let him go. 3 straight years of knee surgery, and he chased down the diminutive quarterback.
You want a testament in hard work and determination, and probably a good surgeon. Watch Thomas Davis. Here he is, 58. I like that he just never bites on Russell Wilson in the pump fake. You know, Russell Wilson, he's challenging the line of scrimmage with his eyes up, and he's pump faking like he's going to throw it. Clearly, Thomas Davis was assigned to Russell Wilson on that play as a spy. He went and got him before he could get the first down.
Ryan with a high kick to Ted Ginn Jr. calls for a fair catch right at the 10-yard line. And the Panthers will get a second half possession on offense. Their defense has done the job so far. They have a 7-3 third quarter lead. Seahawks traveling from the Pacific Northwest. Last year they traveled over 35,000 miles, more than any team in the league. And just for a reference point, to travel the world around the world is 25,000 miles. So well above that.
Easy. Kansas.
On their heels on defense. First and 10, Carolina from the 10. It's D'Angelo Williams. Some tough yards. Bringing up second down. You know, let's check in down on the field with Jen Hale.
You know, Chris, technically it's 84 degrees down here, but it feels more like 92. I live in New Orleans, and this is broiling for me. The Seahawks desperately trying to combat this humidity. They've got shade screens over their players. They've got cooling gloves on their hands. Basically, a lot of blood goes through the fingers, so this is ice water running over the fingers, trying to cool the blood down on its way back up, Chris.
Thanks, Jen. And on the cross-country flight, I know Pete Carroll has the guys hydrate for these conditions. Williams, it'll bring up third down. Cam Chancellor coming up to make the tackle. The slogan for Ron Rivera, remember we said start strong for his team, but also one of the mantras of the Panthers has been keep pounding, and that's what they're going to have to do here after they have started strong in this game.
And I think big picture looking at them, they got to start seasons better. I mean, this club has saved the job of the head coach over the last 2 years with strong finishes. Ron is a very good coach. He's a good friend of mine. What you see is not what you get on the sideline in terms of the calm demeanor. I know the players, in talking to him, they feed off of his energy. But they got to start seasons better. Last 2 years, they started 2-8.
Left feet long. Yeah. Hey, 5-1.
Better get some inside pressure. Cam will pick at him again.
Third down at 6. And he fires it to the 25-yard line, and that is a first down for Ted Ginn Jr., his first year as a member of the Panthers.
And guys are just getting bounced around inside as pass rushers. Watch Tony McDaniel and Michael Bennett going against backup guards getting pinballed. And you don't get any inside pressure on Cam Newton. I don't care what you do on the outside. If you get, you know, once those defensive ends get past the depth of the quarterback, Cam Newton is just going to step up in a very nice pocket, stand tall, and deliver an accurate ball.
Ted Ginn Jr.'s first catch as a member of the Panthers, coming over from the 49ers, a former Miami Dolphin. Cam Newton has it. And open, Steve Smith. What was it Mike Shula said about Cam Newton's arm? Said it's stronger than he even thinks it is.
And Mike Shula is calling a whale of a game. Watch this deep comeback by Steve Smith. He's pressing it. Now he's just going to turn, come back to the football. Again, not a lot of pressure on Cam Newton with the play action. He is untouched and throws another very good football.
That's a Steve Smith who had some interesting words about the former offensive coordinator, Rob Chudzinski, who's the head coach in Cleveland, with Mike Shula moving up to the coordinator spot here. Of course, the son of Don Shula and the brother of Dave Shula.
And the play calling has been very impressive so far today.
On 2nd and 10, D'Angelo Williams. Should be 2nd and 2. It's not going to be 3rd down. Correction on that 3rd and short.
I'll tell you another thing I think that's obvious in watching this team is getting Cam Newton, and this being Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator, shortening the terminology in terms of the play call, getting it in quicker, letting Cam Newton get to the line of scrimmage quicker, get a bigger snapshot of the defense, and as they like to say, uncover the defense in terms of getting a pre-snap read, knowing where to go with the football.
Steve Smith checks out. We haven't seen a lot of the read option, very little in fact, but the threat remains there for the Seattle defense on 3rd and 1. D'Angelo Williams fights hard, but that time the Seahawks front line took a stand.
Yeah, this one might get measured. It's really, really close.
Malcolm Smith part of that, getting there early. Cam Chancellor coming up. Time of possession relatively equal in this game. The only touchdown, Cam Newton tossed to Steve Smith, and it looks like they're going to have to at least line up for the punt on 4th and inches.
Michael Smith, you saw there, made the tackle. He's a good young player, late draft pick out of USC, but I think before it's all said and done, when Bruce Irvin comes back from that suspension, that research project and experiment is real. Bruce Irvin is going to go to the strong side linebacker spot.
And they are going to bring out the chains and measure, and that, you touched on it, no Chris Clemens, they hope in the next couple of weeks, no Cliff Averill, they hope he'll be back next week from the hamstring injury, and Bruce Irvin misses the first 4 games because of suspension.
And on top of that, Jordan Hill, their 3rd round pick, they're just short out of Penn State.
Now, you know Ron Rivera, there isn't any question here you got to punt it.
I think you got to punt it. At this spot in the field, in this tight of a game, as well as your defense is playing, I know you'd love to keep momentum. I think you punt it. But back to Seattle and their defensive line and the inside rusher, they don't really have one that they can count on. And Jordan Hill, their 3rd round pick, also out of this game with a biceps injury. And he was their best rusher in training camp from the inside.
Golden Tate back to return. Brad Nortman standing at the Carolina 20. There's a flag down as Golden Tate is brought down just short of the 20-yard line. Jordan Sen got down there after a 46-yard boot. Six penalties called on the Seahawks so far, just 1 on the Panthers. We've had a turnover for each team. Russell Wilson lost a fumble, and then a fumble on special teams for Carolina.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Kicking team number 36 was out of bounds and did not attempt to come back in immediately. The 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play. 1st down.
Now there's a little caveat to that rule this year.
Armand Smith.
That's right. And Armand Smith, as you go out of bounds, the rule used to be immediately you got to get back in. The new addendum to it is, reasonable time to try to angle and get back in. Interesting.
A tightly contested defensive battle here, and as Cam Newton said on opening day kickoff weekend, we're all undefeated. First down from the 35-yard line. Russell Wilson, middle of the field, Zach Miller. And a first down near midfield. Seahawks have run for just 41 yards today.
That's surprising when you think of Marshawn Lynch and the success. I love the eyes of Russell Wilson, who's really looking over this way to Quentin Michael, who showed like he was going to play up in the box as a coverage defender. As soon as he dropped out to get deep, Russell Wilson saw it and found his tight end and really distributed the ball right from where Quentin Michael left.
Marshawn Lynch gets it and has to fight and still may have lost a yard. Josh Thomas came up from his corner position. Hey, Tim, never be without football. Get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL to download it now. That's ** and star NFL. Star Latubale has been a star today, the rookie for the Panthers.
I have been so impressed with him, Chris. What a great pick out of Utah as a first-rounder defensive lineman. And it hasn't just been in the run stuff. He has really provided significant push right up the gut in Russell Wilson's face as a rusher.
Handoff, Robert Turbin. It'll be 3rd down. Josh Thomas again on the tackle.
He is small but mighty, according to Ron Rivera. They picked him up off waivers last year at the start of the season off Dallas. He has had a couple of big rocket shots here in the last 2 plays as a tackle.
And there were concerns, as good as the Panther defense has been, about the secondary, but so far they've kept Russell Wilson out of the end zone.
Good rush will put a Band-Aid on average secondary every time.
They need to get to the 40-yard line of Carolina. It's 3rd down. Russell Wilson throws it in the air, and the catch on the sideline was hauled in.
No way.
Doug Baldwin came back to the football, and it's a 1st down. And the elusive, keep-it-alive approach of Russell Wilson made it happen.
Are you kidding me?
For a gain of 13, and they're hurrying to the line.
Of course, because they don't want a challenge to come this way and nullify the play. Ron Rivera is going to throw the challenge flag.
Well, there's a penalty because it looked like the player was not off the field. Let's check the feed on where Baldwin came back to the football.
Clearly both feet in right there.
Carolina is challenging the ruling on the field of completed pass.
That's going to be a catch. That is absolutely a catch. Both feet inbounds, firm grip and control by Doug Baldwin. That was an answered prayer. Whoa!
That's under review. Desperate situation for Russell Wilson, but he didn't go to pieces on that thrown-up prayer.
Yeah, it was a prayer, a heave and a prayer. Look at that. Hit low from Dewan Edwards, high from Greg Hardy. Just gets absolutely blasted, throws it up. Perfect. Johnny on the spot. Doug Baldwin, who's had a very good day, and he got both feet inbounds, firm grip, and most importantly at that point, once he established possession inbounds, possessed the ball all the way through the ground and finished the process.
And there was a flag. The official picked that up, and then Ron Rivera challenged. So Jeff Trippett has had a chance to review what is a 13-yard catch and 1st down if it stands.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The receiver had 2 feet down, caught the ball and maintained possession throughout, going to the ground. Carolina is charged a timeout.
Doug Baldwin came back. That's part of that. I don't know if you call that a scramble drill, but he was ready for where his quarterback is. And this could be one of those. I know we're only in the 3rd quarter, but a real tipping point.
You think they drew it up that way? Do you really think they drew it up that way?
It wasn't a scramble drill for Russell. He had nowhere to go.
It was awesome. Awesome.
I mean, the guy's barely 5'11". I don't even know how he could see that far downfield.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I think a big part of it, Chris, is he's got that mental picture in his mind of where all of his guys are on the grid.
From the 35, Russell rolls, throws, and on the run is tight end Zach Miller inside the 18-yard line and before he goes out of bounds. Let's get a game break. Check in with Joel Klatt.
You guys got a couple of good young quarterbacks. Well, we might have another one in Buffalo. E.J. Manuel, his 2nd touchdown pass of the day. This one, 18 yards to Stevie Johnson. Bills up 21-17 on the pass, guys.
An upset brewing. We may have an upset here with the underdog Panthers leading at home, but the Seahawks on the move. Wilson back at the 35, and this time he gets rid of it. As he goes to the turf, Charles Johnson and Greg Hardy made it difficult on him. There's a flag down. Penalty flag came in late.
Russell Wilson is getting
intentional grounding. Number 3. The ball he placed at the spot of the pass, lost it down, second down.
Now clarify that in the pocket.
Well, you can throw it away, but it's got to cross the line of scrimmage, but you got to be outside of the pocket. And Russell Wilson right here, when he unloads this ball, is really, really probably on the line to not, being in the pocket versus out of the pocket. That's a judgment call, and that's what Pete Carroll's talking to the official about right there. But you can't throw it away, Chris, out of bounds as a quarterback if you are in the pocket, only when you're out of the pocket.
So now they're back at the 38-yard line. It's second down and 31. Wilson will try to get some of it back. Middle of the field, Marshawn Lynch, and he's fighting hard to get to the 30. It'll bring a third down. John Beeson wouldn't let him get away.
Chris, how many Seattle games did we do last year? A bunch, right?
Half a dozen.
Yeah, it was so much fun to watch him develop and watch this kid develop in Russell Wilson. I have never seen him get hit and pressured and hemmed up in the pocket like the Carolina Panthers defense have been able to do today. So impressive.
And the offensive line of Seattle, which had done a good job to help spring Lynch and to help protect Russell Wilson, is getting pushed around.
Yeah, but remember the end of last year, we had the Ram game, 6 sacks by the St. Louis Rams. That was a problem at the end of last season.
Now third down, they need to get to the 8-yard line. Robert Turbin has it. It'll be fourth down. The active linebackers for the Panthers today, Thomas Davis wouldn't let him go. So Stephen Hauschka will trot out.
You can see Russell Wilson wants to escape and get outside the pocket. You can see it, but the defensive line, and it's just mainly been a 4-man rush for Carolina, they are playing it perfectly. If the ends get too far past the depth, they put the brakes on. They're not giving him any escape doors.
He hit one earlier. This a 40-yard try to get the Seahawks to within 1. And Hauschka delivers. In the third quarter, Russell Wilson taking a beating, but the Seahawks have moved it within 1. The Panthers have had a lot to do with it, but the weather helping Carolina with that advantage over Seattle. The heat and humidity. It's tough to measure humidity unless you're standing around in it, but they bring their own shade tent. You heard Jen Hale's report on other things that help keep the team cool. But nothing cooling off that Panthers defense, which kept Seattle out of the end zone again as the Seahawk drive stalls. Hauschka, who made the field goal to kick off, and once again, no return. Wednesday, on an all-new episode of The Ultimate Fighter, the tension between rival coaches Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate boils over when their #1 picks square off in one of the most shocking battles in Ultimate Fighter history. Don't miss an all-new episode of The Ultimate Fighter this Wednesday, only on Fox Sports 1.
I don't miss that one, Chris.
I know you're a fan.
I don't miss that one. They got one fighter. I think he's on Tate's team, Chris Bollinger. Awesome.
By the way, happy birthday, Tim Ryan. Your birthday today. Quietly snuck that up on us.
Thank you, my friend. I forgot about it until you just said it.
We'll celebrate later.
Hey, 31. 31.
On 1st and 10 from the 20. The pass fired on a laser across the 30. And Steve Smith with a first down catch. We haven't seen the Steve Smith, Richard Sherman show we thought we would see, but it looked like they've moved Steve around quite a bit.
And they're using him a lot on the crossing routes and the underneath quick hitters and the seams. Good ball location there from Cam Newton, who talked about that. He said, look, they play a lot of zone in Seattle, despite what you hear that they play man coverage all over the place. They do a lot with their corners, but there's a lot of zone between the numbers. Low ball location is always key to not getting any of those tips that end up being interceptions. Good stuff.
His 6th catch, Smith with Sherman this time, top of your screen. Cam Newton is in some trouble and throws it to D'Angelo Williams. Earl Thomas on the tackle, but Cam made something happen there.
And Cam, they put the pressure on him that time. They sent the pressure. Malcolm Smith, the linebacker, but I think Cam Newton, I've seen a mature, changed Cam Newton. He's taken what the defense gives him. He's very patient. As good as it's looked, it's still a 1-point game. It's 7-6, and Cam Newton is depending and relying on his teammates, not trying to do too many things, Chris, which end up you try yourself into mistakes.
780. What is it?
Newton has to just kind of get rid of it.
That's grounded.
He's hit.
No, it's not. It got past the line of
It
scrimmage.
made it back to the line of scrimmage. Big Red Bryant, weighs 330 or so, was over there blocking his view.
Yeah, I was looking at the marker rather than the yard marker. It was definitely past the line of scrimmage.
But Cam Newton, in 2 seasons in this game, he's been involved in 63 touchdowns, whether by throw or by run. But trying to get the team over that 7-9 record. They won their last 4 regular season games. Trying to get the Panthers to the playoffs, and this his 3rd season.
Maybe time to open up a little read option for Cam Newton here pretty quick in this game.
On 3rd and 3 from the 38, he's going to keep it close to the first down. And it is a first down, and a big first down to keep the football.
I had a feeling that was coming.
Late in the 3rd quarter. Good call. Now, if you knew it, why didn't the Seahawk defense?
Well, you can know it. You still got to stop it. And he is such a big-bodied guy. As Pete Carroll said, he runs like a premier running back in this league. And when it's crunch time, Ron Rivera also told us, we want the ball in our best player's hands. That's Cam Newton.
He's only run it 3 times today. But that was for a big first down. Cam Newton's a throw. He opened over the head of Brandon LaFell. And there's a flag down back at the 35-yard line.
Number 75 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Chris Scott, the reserve, having to step in at guard, called for the penalty.
And there he is, left guard right there. He's pulling out. They call that Molly protection. When the offensive guard, you don't see a lot of it anymore in the NFL, and they pull him out to get the edge rusher. And that time Chris Scott got his hands on and would not let go of Michael Bennett.
First down, first down, first down.
From the 32-yard line, it will be 1st and 20 for the Panthers. 4 seconds remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
Look at set. Slide right. What did he?
Cam Newton is going to float one incomplete. Intended for Greg Olsen. With Jennifer Hale, Tim Ryan up on the booth, Chris Myers. Glad you're watching. At the end of the 3rd quarter, the Panthers lead the Seahawks 7-6 in Charlotte. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a break from your local Fox station. The defenses have hardly given an inch. Frustrating the coaches. But Ron Rivera has a touchdown from Cam Newton to Steve Smith. A couple of field goals for Seattle, and it's 7-6 as we start the 4th quarter. The Panthers in close games in the Rivera-Cam Newton era. 7 points or less, have a record of 2-12. They're trying to protect the 1-point lead here at home. On 2nd and 20. Complete at the 41-yard line. Greg Olsen. And push back. It'll bring up 3rd down. Anything excite you in these statistics through 3
this
quarters?
one again, shocking right there in terms of only 43 rush yards in the game. And then really with 2 backup offensive guards, and it doesn't pertain to this number because the protection for Cam Newton, but 2 backup guards for the Carolina offense, and Cam Newton has rarely been touched in this game.
Russell Wilson has run the ball only twice. 200 yards passing, but nothing in the end zone. On 3rd down and 12 from the 40 of Carolina. Plenty of time for Cam Newton. He gets out of trouble. He's going to run across midfield near the first down marker, but he looks a bit short, even with that 6'5" frame. And KJ Wright is over there to keep him from the marker.
What a competitor. How about Cam's already almost on the ground, and he's still trying to drive those legs to get to the first down stick. Look, and he is a tough sack. Mayoya just fell off of him, but look at him here as he watch his legs. Look at him just keep driving as he's trying to get to that first down line to gain.
33 yards rushing for Cam Newton today. He's thrown for 130 in the touchdown. Golden Tate back to receive the Nortman punt. Seahawks have had to earn every bit of their field position today. Tate down at the 9. There's a flag down as well.
Nice job angle kicking, angle punting in this game. Really putting the punt returner,
a 45-yard boot,
in a position where he's either got to think about letting it go, Golden Tate, or hitting the ground where it might just bounce out of bounds. I think that's why Tate's been returning him inside his 10-yard line. Because usually, you know, a punter punts it, it's going to, you put your heels as a punt returner on the 10. If it goes over your head, you let it go. But with the angle punting and looking like it's going out of bounds, I think we've seen Tate return a couple of those.
Jeff Triplett sorting it out. This is the way the game started, though, with Seattle backed up at their own end of the field, having to work their way up.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Kicking team number 36 went out of bounds and did not immediately return. That penalty would be enforced from the end of the kick, end of the play. 15 yards, first down.
That's the second time against Armon Smith, and Steve Smith, no relation, has given it to him. The penalty creates an awkward situation. The second-year player for a second time.
Today's game is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Taco Bell's new fiery Doritos Locos Taco. Live Moss. And by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
I tell you, look at Armon Smith up here, and he looks like he goes out on his own, but comes right back in. And, of course, that would only be a penalty at that point if he was the first guy to go down and touch the ball. So, to me, that's a bad call. And Ron Rivera, the head coach, is asking for an explanation from the officials and saying, look, explain it to my young player because something's going on here in terms of us not understanding what's going on. And I also...
Now they're moving people off the field here.
And I also think Jeff Triplett, who keeps saying, the official keeps saying the referee, you got to immediately come back in. That is no longer the rule. The rule now reads you've got to angle to return to the field in a reasonable amount of time. It's an addendum to the rule book.
There's a correction on the previous penalty enforcement. It is a receiver going, a kicking team player going out of bounds voluntarily and immediately coming back in. That is a 5-yard penalty. Seattle is elected to accept the 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and re-kick.
And we have our former head of officials from the NFL Command Center, Mike Pereira, joining us with Tim Ryan and Chris Myers. Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. He got to it finally, but that's the gunner who went out of bounds on his own. You can't do that. That's a simple 5-yard penalty. I think they just, when they were reporting it to each other, I think they got a bit confused. But ultimately, at least they did get it straightened out.
Hey, Mike.
And by the way, the rule, you're right, Tim. The rule does say you have to come back in a reasonable amount of time now. It really doesn't say immediately. I've always said if you're running parallel to the sideline, that's the crime.
And it was a reasonable amount of time, and that's the 5-yard penalty and correction. Mike Pereira, thank you, as Golden Tate gets back up across the 25-yard line where the Seahawks will finally take over on offense. Next in the second half, our Fox NFL doubleheader. Aaron Rodgers, Colin Kaepernick, it's elite quarterbacks, 49ers, Packers. They met the playoffs last year. Coming up next on America's Game of the Week, check local listings for the game in your area.
Can they stop that read zone play? The Green Bay Packers defensively, Colin Kaepernick smoked them for a playoff record for a quarterback, 181 yards rushing in that game.
First and 10 from the 26. Marshawn Lynch, he'll get nothing. Thomas Davis and Greg Hardy. You know, the last 4 games of last year, the Panthers defense had a team record allowing a total of just 215 rushing yards.
Chris, watch this play by Greg Hardy. He stunts inside. Now watch him redirect. That's the whole key. He didn't penetrate too far. He kept his eyes in the backfield and was able to redirect his body and direction down the line of scrimmage and get a tackle for loss. That was awesome.
2nd and 11.
Run!
Quick pass is caught at the 31-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down. Doug Baldwin, 3rd receiver, with the grab.
You know, as bad as it's looked for Russell Wilson in terms of all the shots and all the hits and all the pressures, Chris, his numbers are pretty darn good. 19 of 26, 212 yards.
And something to think about, this is his 2nd year. He had 5 comebacks, 4th quarter wins last year, 4 in the regular season, 1 against the Redskins in the playoffs. 5 4th quarter comebacks. It's going to take that here for Russell Wilson in Seattle. On 3rd down and 5. Pass is complete at the 43 to Golden Tate.
That is a great throw because it was good coverage, and a great throw beats good coverage just about every time. Josh Thomas, you're going to see it right here. Russell Wilson collects the low snap. Watch him drive this ball and just right in front of the hand of the defender, Josh Thomas, and on the hands of Golden Tate.
Doug Baldwin, the leading receiver for the Seahawks today. 6 catches, 78 yards. That's 3 for Tate. Rice only has 2. Robert Turbin cuts the other way. Robert Turbin inside the 45 of Carolina. A 15-yard run.
Luke Kuechly has got this bottled up on the inside, but look at the fresh legs of Robert Turbin cutting this baby all the way back. And then right there, he just turns on the juice and leaves Quentin Michael, and finally Godfrey's able to take him down.
Turbin stays in the game. 2 receivers on the left side, bottom of your screen. Sidney Rice, the lowest. He goes to the right side, wide open. Stephen Williams couldn't hold on.
It's amazing the pressure of a game situation. Pete Carroll was telling us yesterday this former Arizona Cardinal, Stephen Williams, owned the deep ball in practice. He caught everything and really caught their eye and captured their attention. Really well thrown ball by Russell Wilson. You got to pull that into yourself and catch that ball. It's really that simple, as he never really gets a firm grip and pulls it in, and the ground forces the incompletion.
Stephen Williams is 6'5", so a lot of frame. And now 2nd and 10 on a missed opportunity.
Tight games like this, 4th quarter, you got to make those plays.
Russell Wilson still has it. Sideline throw. It's pulled in by Jermaine Kearse, and a touchdown Seahawks. A 43-yard touchdown toss to the former Washington Husky. A local kid makes good in Carolina.
Russell Wilson starting to get a little time to throw the football, and they've got 2 over 1 here on Kearse. You got Thomas in a trail position, but Godfrey, you'll see him flash into your screen there, is late getting over the top to help in coverage. Another perfectly thrown ball from Russell Wilson, and that time Kearse, unlike Williams on the previous play, plucks it right out of the air, pulls it into his body, puts up 6 points for his offense.
And that is Jermaine Kearse's first career NFL touchdown, the free agent from Lakes High School in Washington State. And for Russell Wilson, he's thrown a touchdown pass now in 10 consecutive regular season games, and 13 if you include playoffs.
And I just keep hearing his mantra repeat in my head, Chris: weather the storm.
They're gonna, looks like they're gonna try and go for 2 here, given a 5-point advantage, calling off Hauska in the extra point.
And 5 points says go for 2 every time.
What do you got? You have your own chart here?
Oh, yeah, you got the chart going.
You carry that in your pocket everywhere?
I do.
Okay. Even when you go to the movies and out to dinner?
Yeah, I got one for you too if you'd like.
All right, let's see. What do you think they're going to call here? Then they're going to run it? You're going to roll
run
out?
Pass option for Russell Wilson. Get him out on the edge, either throw it or run it.
Doug Baldwin, top of your screen. Sidney Rice, Golden Tate at the bottom of your screen. Marshawn Lynch splits in the slot there to the right of Russell Wilson. Look at the average.
Yeah, a lot of space for Russell Wilson to run too if he chooses to.
Something they've worked on in training camp. Wilson, Hardy after him, end zone, a little high. Doug Baldwin was back there, but Greg Hardy put the heat on Russell Wilson. 10:13 to go here in Charlotte, North Carolina in the fourth quarter. But Russell Wilson to Jermaine Kearse has the Seattle Seahawks leading the hometown Panthers. Russell Wilson bringing his team back in the fourth quarter for a 5-point lead against a defense. The Panthers allowed the third fewest plays of 20 yards or more last year. That was a 43-yard touchdown working on Josh Thomas.
Yeah, and Darrell Bevel right there, the offensive coordinator. Job well done. Going after Josh Thomas 2 plays in a row with the deep ball. Stephen Williams had beat him the play before, couldn't catch it. Certainly Josh Thomas was on his horse running and came right back at him and exploited it.
Ted Ginn Jr. watches it. So Cam Newton will be leading the offense from the 20-yard line trailing, and this is how things changed in the game. Robert Turbin, some fresh legs on the ground, and then the toss from Russell Wilson to Jermaine Kearse. And the Seahawks have the lead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by GMC, the official vehicle of the NFL.
Along with Tim Ryan, Jennifer Hale on the field, Chris Myers. Thanks for watching wherever you're watching in the Deep South, Pacific Northwest, and those watching Fox up in Anchorage, Alaska. The NFL on Fox with Cam Newton trying to lead his team back. He's been able to play a very patient game so far.
Well, you look at his numbers and where he is right now, 15 to 21. Remember, 2 big drops early in the game by Greg Olsen. Cam's been solid, more than solid.
Oh, gets rid of that. As he gets hit hard. Let's check in down on the field with Jennifer Hale.
Well, Chris, you know, Jermaine Kearse for the Seahawks, he had a reputation for drops back in college. But he had LASIK surgery this offseason, and he says it was just monumentally changing, the best money he ever spent. And that was a big reason for the great preseason you saw him have and come out of right now. Chris?
And he drew his sights in on the football on that one with the 2 defenders in the area for his first career NFL touchdown.
Cam Newton just got clotheslined around his neck on that last play.
D'Angelo Williams, it'll bring up 3rd down. You know, the Panthers, we talked about starting strong, Tim, in the last couple of years. Their overall record in close games, in 7 points or less games, decided they're 2-12. This is a
lot of those, and Ron Rivera will be the first one to tell you, a lot of those, they were leading those games in the fourth quarter.
7 out of 9 losses.
And couldn't hold on to it. It's not about plays. I think we all realize this defense, at least I do at this point, this defense is well coached. This offense under Mike Shula is well coached. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to your primetime players making a big play at an opportune time.
On 3rd and 7, this is one of those times for the Panthers. And Cam Newton eventually gets rid of the ball to Tolbert. There's a flag down, and Tolbert goes down at the 15.
They're going to get it on Michael Bennett for grabbing the hat of Cam Newton and really trying to spin his head right off of him.
Face mask, number 72 of the defense. 15 yards added at the end of the play, 1st down.
And you'll see it right here. Pete Carroll has decided he is coming with the blitz. And watch right here as he grabs the mask and the helmet and just rips Michael Bennett. Cam Newton still stays on his feet. He is so strong and able to get rid of the ball. It's incredible.
Michael Bennett, who led the Buccaneers in sacks last year with 9. Toe injury bothered him in the preseason, but signed to help with that pass rush that you talked about at the top of the broadcast, with Cliff Averill out and Chris Clemens and Bruce Irvin missing today.
And it's a good change up for Pete Carroll and setting the pressure. But one thing you better be real careful of now, if you're going to continue to do that, the legs of Cam Newton, he will hit you with a big one in a heartbeat by running versus that man.
And there goes D'Angelo Williams running. Up near another 1st down. That penalty was big, Tim, because Seattle had Carolina stopped.
They're going to get another one here, I think, for coming in late with the runner on the ground. You cannot do that with the safety. It's going to tack some more yards onto it.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 31 in the defense. Late to the pile, 15 yards, automatic 1st down.
It's on Pro Bowl safety Cam Chancellor.
And once D'Angelo Williams is on the ground there, you cannot go in and lead with your shoulder. And it looked ticky-tack, but
that was close,
Tim. It is, but it's a big point of emphasis this year because, as we all know, player safety right at the top of the list. When that player's on the ground, Chris, he's defenseless.
Now at the Seattle 43, 1st and 10, Carolina.
Yeah.
Brandon LaFell in motion, goes to the bottom of your screen. D'Angelo Williams straight ahead, gets inside the 40. Let's check on a game break with Joel Klatt.
Well, Chris and Tim, Adrian Peterson is going to take off for the end zone again. His 3rd trip, this time a touchdown catch. Great one up in Detroit. 27-24 Lions.
Thank you, Joel. A tough battle within the division there. Also Atlanta, New Orleans, the Saints leading Atlanta, the NFC South, and Tampa Bay, the other team that the Panthers will be thinking about in the South. They have a 14-12 lead over the Jets. Of course, the 49ers play tonight. The Rams and Cardinals play later, I should say later today on Fox. On 2nd down, Cam Newton keeps it. Gets inside the 35.
We've only seen this read option a couple of times here in this game. It was a really nice job, really, as Cam Newton flashed it out to D'Angelo Williams. KJ Wright ran out there, and Cam ended up being short, but that's what opened the window for him. They reduced this thing last year in the back half of the season. Ron Rivera told us they pared it down by 45% in terms of Cam Newton running that read option, and he really became a better quarterback.
On 3rd and 1, Mike Tolbert gets the football and fights to get the first down. Under 7 minutes to play, Seahawks with a 5-point 4th quarter lead.
You can see Mike Tolbert, the TD machine, when he was in San Diego, and even here last year as a free agent, he got into the end zone a bunch of times, 7 or 8. He is a load on that short yardage stuff.
Cam Newton describing the Carolina offense, chunks and bunches. That's what they want, something here. They got to try to get points out of this drive. As hard as they've worked to get to the Seattle 32, benefiting on a penalty.
180.
Straight ahead, D'Angelo Williams near another first down. He's averaging 4 yards a carry against the Seattle defense.
And they get really good push by the right side of the offensive line, but watch the lead block by Mike Tolbert on KJ Wright. And that's really good. Just opens a huge running lane for D'Angelo Williams. Mike Tolbert is a big part of what they do here with the Carolina Panthers, and that's kind of what Steve Smith was talking about when he was talking about Chudzinski getting too cute and really not using Mike Tolbert enough last year.
They need 2 for a first down. It's D'Angelo Williams, and he has the first down. He is going to get close. The ball's out. The ball is out. Oh, my goodness, he laid it on the ground.
Yeah, and Thurman's got his helmet off. I don't know what Walter Thurman's doing with his helmet off, or that's Earl Thomas, excuse me, with his helmet off.
Seahawks football.
He forced the fumble. You can't rip your helmet off in the field of play in celebration. What a huge play by Earl Thomas. Blocked initially, but comes in pursuit. Watch this, right from behind, and just knock this thing out.
After a 16-yard carry inside the 10 of the Seahawks. And there it is for the Seahawks to recover. A big defensive play by Seattle, and they'll take over with a 5-point lead. D'Angelo was slow to get up, injured on the play. Earl Thomas caused the fumble. Tony McDaniel recovered for Seattle. 1st and 10. Marshawn Lynch trying to get outside and will go nowhere. Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis swarmed in to drop him at the goal line.
Chris, a play is never over until it's over, and Earl Thomas, number 29, knows that. Watch him come up and miss the tackle here, but he just keeps after it, running after D'Angelo Williams, and then punches that ball out. That is a huge, huge turnover by that cat right there, Earl Thomas, who, by the way, should have been penalized for ripping that helmet off.
Good call.
But he wasn't.
The officials missed that one. Loss of 5 on 2nd and 15. Seahawks at their own 3. Russell Wilson completes. That's the fullback Coleman near the 15-yard line. Russell Wilson not shy in a tight game, throwing out of his own end zone.
Well, what you'd love to do here, and we're almost to that 4-minute drill, right? You'd love to get a first down here and then just start wearing out the ground game with Marshawn Lynch, but I don't know if you can. Only up 5 points is good, as Carolina has been at shutting that run game down today.
3rd down and 3, another tipping point. Catch made. Doug Baldwin again for a first down, Seahawks.
Wilson's pass is complete to number 89, Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin is money, and they are stacking he and Zach Miller up together to the right side of the formation and just running a little trail route where they trail one another coming out. And that time it was Doug Baldwin trailing Zach Miller. Zach broke up the field. As soon as a couple of defenders went with him, Baldwin comes back inside and gets a huge first down.
Baldwin, the leading receiver in the game, with 7 catches for 91 yards from the 28 of Seattle. On first down, it's Lynch.
Boy, Luke Kuechly is just so quick to key a play in terms of what he's seeing in formation, then diagnose what it is, and then most importantly, come finish in a hurry.
Played, of course, Boston College twice. He ran into Russell Wilson during his college days when Russell was at NC State, and then again last year. Actually had an interception against Russell when Wilson and the Seahawks got their first road win of last year here in Carolina. And we have a timeout, Carolina. So the Panthers are going to have 1 timeout remaining. This Tuesday, the premiere of Being the Finest on Fox Sports 1. You follow the lives of NYPD officers who come together on the football field and honor their fallen brothers through their unforgettable 2013 season. Being the Finest. It premieres Tuesday only on Fox Sports 1. Don't forget highlight shows. There's a Football Daily Show on Fox Sports 1. Early pregame show before the NFL on Fox pregame show. I know you joined Joel Clinton, the guys, earlier this morning. And our pregame crew with Terry, Howie, Kurt, Jimmy, the gang, Michael Strahan from Times Square in New York, where it will all wind up in February, the Super Bowl, which you'll see on Fox.
Hey, 5-2. Cut.
2nd down, 8 from the Seattle 30. Russell Wilson dumps it off at the 30. Golden Tate knocked down at the 49-yard line. Tate making a lot out of a little and pushing Russell Wilson over 300 yards passing, and that's the first career 300-yard passing game for the 2nd-year quarterback.
And Golden Tate, he motions to the backfield and then just runs a little flat route. Russell Wilson sees it right away, and then there's 2 broken tackles, the 3rd, and then finally gets slammed, but not after a big gain, and a very important gain in moving the ball near midfield. It's amazing Russell Wilson, as you said, over 300 as many times as he has gotten smashed today.
Marshawn Lynch chewing up the clock. Under 3 minutes to go now. Let's get another game break and check in with Joel Klatt.
All right, guys, Tim, I know you've been waiting. We wanted to wait until the Bears actually took the lead. Jay Cutler to Brandon Marshall, the 19-yard strike. And the Bears are up 24-21 over Cincinnati.
Thanks, Joel. Close game there. Close one between the Falcons and the Saints. Close between the Bucs, who lead the Jets by 2, and the Lions, who are up on 3 against the Vikings. And here it's a 5-point difference.
This league is high drama. Love it.
Wilson's throw caught by Coleman, and he goes out of bounds, and that stops the clock, which benefits Carolina in this situation.
And Tom Cable's telling him right now, you got to stay in bounds. Watch Marshawn Lynch right here step up and take Charles Johnson. Bang! Just ejects him right out of Russell Wilson's face. Russell Wilson sees a little flat route, and again, if you're Coleman, you'd love to get as many yards as you can, but know the situation right around 2 minutes. Fall down in bounds. That doesn't even look like Tom Cable. He's down 80 pounds.
He's in great shape. Big NASCAR fan. Was all worried about Jeff Gordon making it into the chase. Not worried about what his unit would do today, preparing against the Panthers.
Starts ripping at the ball.
That's Marshawn Lynch carrying, and Kuechly again on the tackle. Now, Tim, we're gonna see Carolina use their last timeout, and you still have the 2-minute warning. But the Panthers are going to have to dig in here if they hope to get the football back.
Hey, I may have saved that timeout till after the 2-minute warning.
With the birthday boy, welcome to our booth. It's been a fun, exciting defensive game. We didn't see as much of the read option here with Russell Wilson and Cam Newton, but what about our second half game coming up, Colin Kaepernick against that Green Bay defense?
Well, I think a couple of things. Green Bay up front with their offensive line. The big question is, can they block the Smith brothers, Justin Smith and Alden Smith? And they are very soft. They got a rookie left tackle starting in Bakhtiari. That will be a huge challenge. And then, of course, defensively, they could not stop Colin Kaepernick last year with the zone read play. And here's a peek at it last year. I mean, poorly played. And I talked to A.J. Hawk a couple of months ago at a golf tournament, and he said, we have at length this offseason worked on stopping Colin Kaepernick in the zone read. We are going to hit him as much as humanly possible in that football game. It's going to be a great one.
Jim Harbaugh didn't like it. On 2nd and 10, Marshawn Lynch.
Get down.
With a first down. And the clock will run to the 2-minute mark. Another fresh set of downs for the Seahawks after a 14-yard run. Lynch carried 16 times. He doesn't have, what, just 40 yards, 43 yards so far in the game. 2 minutes to go. Can the Seahawks hang on in Carolina? They lead by 5. After this, you'll see that 49er Packer game we're talking about. But after the game, the Pepsi Game Break Show with Kurt, Terry, Howie, Jimmy, and Michael live from New York with all the highlights. Get you ready for the second half of the doubleheader as the Seahawks, with Carolina having no timeouts, have this game in control, and frustrating for Cam Newton. The Carolina defense, which dug in at a low-scoring game, but couldn't keep Russell Wilson out of the end zone. You talk about weathering the storm. They weathered the heat, the East Coast travel, the early kickoff.
And Ron Rivera knows another one got away in terms of a close game. 7 of their 9 losses last year, under a touchdown. I'll tell you, I can't say enough, though, about Russell Wilson and his ability, as we've been talking about, weathering the storm. He was just getting blasted throughout this game with the pass rush. Carolina was keeping him in the pocket. 11 of 15 in the first half for a $122. Second half, 14-18, 198 yards.
And some people said, will the Seahawks overlook Carolina because they have the big showdown with their NFC West rivals, the 49ers, on Sunday night when they're home? And that didn't happen. In fact, Russell Wilson, his first career game in the NFL, over 300 yards. He also gets credit for his 5th regular season comeback, and this is a guy who is only at the beginning of his 2nd year, and he had the comeback in the playoffs against the Redskins, and Tim really led his team back against Atlanta in the other playoff game. Had the defense done its job, they would have been in the championship game. Seahawks come east and rally in the 4th quarter for a 12-7 victory over the Carolina Panthers. Today's broadcast, a Mike Burke's production, directed by Scott Katz. We want to wish get well to Michael Frank, our director recovering back home. Our associate director, Brian Biederman, broadcast associate Mike Strack. The studio show produced by Bill Richards. And we will have more. Tim Ryan, Jennifer Hill, Chris Myers from Carolina. Some more thoughts on Seattle's victory in just a moment.